Hi, welcome to 𝐸𝐿𝐿 Academy. Let's start our lesson with Perfect Product Formula, Part 1. So what are the items or products to avoid? Here the list of products to avoid. Electronics, clothes, shoes, foods, short shelf life, toys, chemicals, oversized products, design-driven, and cheap daily use products. Let's start with electronics. What are the challenges? Number 1. DOA stands for Dead on Arrival. It's a truth that by default, a portion of your order will arrive faulty from your supplier. To avoid customer disappointment, you'll need to test each and every unit before shipping it out, or be prepared to deal with negative feedback and reviews if you don't. Number 2. Warranty. As an Amazon business seller, you're required by law to issue a warranty. This means you'll have to deal with a product that breaks down 9 months after purchase. Number 3. CE certification will be required for importing gadgets from China. Many Chinese suppliers will not have these credentials. Many people will claim to have them when they actually don't and are just Photoshop. To be absolutely certain, always verify the certificates on your own. You can do this by requesting a scanned copy of the certificate from the supplier, which will include the contact information for the testing organization that issued the certificate. You may then contact the testing organization to confirm that the certificate is authentic. Number 4. Battery issues. If the item is battery-powered, there are a number of concerns to consider, including shipping restrictions and FBA constraints. Number 5. Complexity of use. You'll simply have to deal with more customer support difficulties depending on how complex the item is, as there will be people who buy the item but have no technical understanding at all, and you'll have to assist them with various technical issues on a daily basis. Next, let's talk about clothes. What are the challenges? Number 1. Large MOQs. Clothing is mass-produced in China in large quantities. And this normally implies that if you want your own branded apparel products created in factories, you'll have to order in large quantities, such as 500 or 1,000 pieces per design and size. This effectively entails placing a substantial first order of several thousand pieces, which will be impossible to achieve on a tiny budget of a few £1,000s. Number 2. Sizes. Even if you produce excellent sizing charts and instructions, everyone is different. You'll also have to deal with a lot of returns since the product didn't fit the customer. Number 3. Product images. Clothing looks best in photographs when it is worn by a real person. As a result, product photography becomes a very costly endeavor, as you'll need to hire a model to perform the shoots. Number 4. Designs. General apparel items like skirts, dresses, shirts, and similar items are highly subjective in terms of design and taste. To choose styles and designs that your market wants, you'll need a deep grasp of the product group and the customers you're targeting. Number 5. Overstock. There's no way to avoid overstocking with so many patterns and sizes, and seasons changing, and it will harm your bottom line. Obviously, you may and should keep a close eye on inventories, sell-through rates, and discounts and sales in advance. However, this is yet another step and inconvenience that comes with selling clothing. Lastly, number 6. Returns. Among all product categories, clothing has the greatest return rate. In the apparel sector, it's not uncommon to see a return rate of 10% or even 20%. Consider the additional hassle and loss this causes. To make it work, you'll need to work on very healthy margins and keep a close eye on stock levels and consumer trends. Let's talk about shoes. What are the challenges? Large MOQs, sizing concerns, designs, overstock, returns, and quality issues are the most common concerns with selling shoes. One of the most significant concerns here could be quality issues. Because you can't truly test a shoe to evaluate how well it's made swiftly. You should wear it for at least a few weeks to see if it is made to the highest quality standards and is properly stitched and glued together. Let's move on with foods. What are the challenges? Number 1. Regulations and certifications. Food products may be subject to further regulation and certification depending on your region and, specifically, the rules in your country. Particularly if you intend to import such items from China. Number 2. Quality. When it comes to marketing food goods, customers may have concerns about the product's quality and safety, which is dependent on how it is handled by the manufacturer. Number 3. Very low margin. Another issue is that food has a low profit margin unless it's something particularly particular or unique, such as gluten-free products, sports nourishment, or something similar. Number 4. Short shelf life. It's all too tempting to assume that simply because something is still sealed, it will last a long time on the shelf. When properly maintained at prescribed temperatures, a food product's shelf life is the period of time it remains safe and suitable for eating. This means that the food should maintain its ideal quality while still retaining its nutrients. Now, let's talk about short shelf lives. What are the products with short shelf lives? Number 1. Skincare. The majority of skincare products have a 2-year shelf life. Unfortunately, you don't always know how long your moisturizer has been sitting on the shelf before you bought it, and many things aren't obliged to post expiration dates on the labels because they aren't controlled by the FDA. Number 2. Makeup. In just a few months, foundation can start to produce bacteria that are harmful to the skin's health. Lipsticks, pencils, and hair products all have a limited shelf life. This puts additional strain on your business operations and has an impact on your bottom line. And lastly, number 3, cleaning and hygiene items. Although some people use bleach to purify their water, bleach does not remain forever. The rate of disintegration varies, and it could lose its effectiveness in as little as 6 months depending on how much it is exposed to extremely high or low temperatures. If stored in a cool, dry place, laundry detergents can survive up to 6 months after being opened. So long as it isn't opened, a detergent container can last up to 12 months if it isn't opened. Let's move on with toddler toys. If you live in the United Kingdom or the European Union, you should be aware that children's toys cannot simply be imported from China and sold online. As the importer, you must confirm that these products meet all applicable health and safety laws. You could still go with it if you have a genuine toy idea that is in high demand and has a lot of potential. To prevent costly legal bills and fines, make sure you follow all of the requirements, get the product certified and label it appropriately. Next, chemicals. This is another highly regulated product category that may necessitate certification in order to comply with UK and EU regulations. These laws will vary depending on the goods in subject, so do your homework before ordering anything from China. If you work with chemicals, you should have a separate storage space where children cannot access it, and it should also adhere to strict fire and safety laws. Overall, it is not recommended to deal with chemicals unless you have a strong personal interest or professional experience in the field. Let's move on with oversized products. The entire Amazon concept relies on you storing and shipping your goods through Amazon's fulfillment system. While FBA allows and even has particular big item limits, it is not recommended for people who are new to selling on Amazon or who have a limited budget to sell huge things. Again, it basically means a lot of extra work and expense that you can't accurately predict ahead of time. Large and bulky products can still be profitable if you're more experienced and have a reasonable budget. Mostly because there is usually less competition for these things. Still, double-check the item's size to make sure it's not too large for FBA. One of the most significant drawbacks of these huge items is the high monthly storage fees charged by Amazon. So, if you have your own modest warehouse, you may retain the majority of your inventory there and deliver it to Amazon as needed. Next, design-driven products. This is more of a warning statement than a rule. If you don't have any knowledge or skills, avoid dealing with design-driven products, and just have good taste when it comes to things that are valued and sold based on design. You should be well versed in the types of designs that sell well. This will apply to a wide range of things, including all interior products, bedding, housewares, wall decorations, and a variety of other items. If you have a passion for design-based products, they might be wonderful products to break into with high margins, especially if you source unique and interesting things. However, dealing with design-driven products is not encouraged if you are not good with design and do not have good taste. You may end up with a lot of stock that no one likes and buys. And last but not the least, cheap daily use products. Cheap, everyday products that are widely available in offline retailers are the last kind of things that you should avoid. These are items for which most people are unwilling to pay a higher price. Simple inexpensive pens and pencils, straws, napkins, hangers, paper plates, and other items fall into this category. All of those low-cost, basic items that may be found in any store. On items like these, margins are typically small, and you'd have to buy in large numbers to be competitive. So that's it. These are the product categories to avoid if you're starting an online business for the first time. You can always get complicated with your second or third product if you don't have much experience with all of this, but it's preferable to be cautious with your first. That way, you can see that you can accomplish it, that you can make sales and profit, acquire confidence in your abilities, and then move on to something more sophisticated if you desire. You now have a complete list of products to avoid. This time, let's get to work on finding the perfect product. The ideal product would be simple, affordable, small, in high demand but not overly so, profitable, non-seasonal, and work as advertised. Number 1. Simple products. This indicates that the product does not require extensive instruction manuals and is made up of only one or a few simple parts. What difference does it make? Because highly complex mechanical things, such as electronics, have a far higher probability of having quality difficulties and problems with your order, such as missing parts or items just breaking down after a period of time, and so forth. You'll have to deal with a lot more client engagement as well. You'll be asked questions about how to use an item properly, how to put it together, and many more. Many of these issues can be prevented by working with a great supplier, conducting proper production inspections in China, and having excellent custom-created instruction manuals, among other things. However, you can prevent all of this added trouble by just avoiding a product like this. Let's give you a few examples of simple and complicated products to give you a better picture. Complicated products. There are many moving parts in pushchairs, which can break during shipping and in everyday usage by customers. Classic wardrobes. With so many pieces, screws, and other components, keeping each kit in perfect working condition will be difficult. Furthermore, users will be required to build the wardrobe, which will undoubtedly cause complications for many people. Tunnel tents. When it comes to an item like this, the production quality must be exceptional, the sewing and every other detail must be flawless. The material's quality will be important as well, so the item doesn't fall apart after a few usage. Let's have a look at a few simple product examples now. Coasters. There is no need for an instruction manual because this is a one-piece product. There isn't much that can go wrong with the goods during delivery, and quality inspections will be quick and easy. Next, aluminum water bottles. These are a one-piece item with no moving parts or glass components, making them simple to ship and store. There is no need for a manual for that. Watercolor notebooks are a simple product manufactured from special paper for people who enjoy watercoloring. Nothing can possibly go wrong here. It's also a fairly straightforward product to manufacture from a manufacturing standpoint. As you can see, there is a significant difference between these products. These are used extreme instances to highlight the issue. Frequently, there will be products with moving parts or a high level of technicality. That's okay, as long as you understand how to manage product quality as well as customer service so that the product lasts and you don't have to deal with a lot of returns due to the item failing to function properly. Number 2. Affordable products. You have less problems with cheaper things than with more expensive ones, especially if we're talking about things under £30. In most situations, these are regarded as online impulsive purchases, which means greater conversion rates and a lower return rate for customers who aren't too concerned if something goes wrong with an order. For all of above to be true, the product must be of good quality. When you compare a £30 LED desk lamp to a £300 piece of home gym equipment, it's easy to see which product causes more issues. Yes, the profit per sale will be lower than for more expensive things, but since we're using Amazon FBA to fulfill orders, you don't need to worry because you won't have to lift a finger when a sale comes in. In more expensive products, there are good prospects. However, if you're just starting out, stick to things that sell for less than £30, and no more than £50, and you'll avoid a lot of headaches. Number 3. Small products. The smaller the item, the better, because FBA fees are solely determined by its size and weight. The price of an item is usually related to its size to some extent. However, this isn't always the case. Here are the few examples. Reams of 500 pages of basic office paper retail for just £5 to £7. For the price, it's a really heavy product. And as a result, there's no profit to be earned, especially when numerous tiny goods sell for much greater prices. Small sets of watercolor pens can be found for as much as £10, if not more. A lightweight item that may be transported as a large letter with Royal Mail. This is the ideal size to weight to price ratio. This does not imply that you must limit yourself to really small products. No, especially if you have a reasonable budget. You can also afford to import bulk commodities from China by ordering many pallets or even a half container at a time. This is merely to demonstrate how size and weight should always be considered when determining a selling price. It's difficult to earn money selling massive, bulky things at low costs. Small and lightweight things are the only way to go for persons with small finances, say less than £1,000, because they can't afford sea freight. As a result, you should opt for little things that may be transported via courier while keeping shipping prices low. As a general rule, the maximum weight for such courier shipments should be between 30 and 50 kilograms. If it approaches 100 kilograms, courier shipping will be prohibitively expensive. So, let's say an item weighs 150 grams and you need 300 of them from a supplier. This brings the total weight of the order to slightly under 50 kilograms, 150 grams multiplied by 300. Also, if the item is small, courier delivery should be okay. On the other side, if the item weighs 300 grams and you need to order 500 units, your order will weigh 150 kilos, which is far too heavy for anybody to ship through courier. Number 4. In high demand but not overly so. You don't want to get involved with goods that are quite trendy and popular at the moment. Such demand spikes will, sooner or later, come to an end. High levels of competition are attracted to extremely hot products. Even if your market data shows that the competition isn't too strong right now, the scenario will alter in a matter of weeks or months. Margin will be low or non-existent as the market saturates, as many individuals will hop on these popular things sooner or later. This isn't a good idea, and you'll end up having stock that you'll have to sell at a loss. This is why it is recommended to look for items with a medium or even somewhat low demand that sell well but not well enough to attract a large number of sellers. Number 5. Profitable. Of course, we're all here to earn money, and the only way to do so on Amazon is to offer a high-margin product. Returning to the office paper example, there's no way you can earn a profit on that commodity. The pricing is simply too cheap, and the margin is non-existent, no matter how many pieces you purchase. It's especially more important on Amazon margin because a big part of the strategy is to utilize paid advertising to bring attention to your listings in the beginning. And this means that in order to keep buying those clicks, you need to be making a substantial profit. Here are some of the recommendations about what kind of Amazon margin you should aim for. If your product sells for £5 to £10, your profit margin should be at least 30 to 40. If the product's selling price is between £10 and £20, your profit margin should be between 25 and 30%. If the product's selling price is between £20 and £30, your profit margin should be between 20 and 25%. If the product's selling price is more than £30, your profit margin should be at least 20%. Of course, they are simply guidelines, and you can tweak them to your liking depending on how needy you are. To make it clear that selling an item on Amazon for £10 with a 10% net margin won't get you very far. This means that on each sale, you would only make £1 profit, which would be insufficient to cover any advertising costs. Let's talk about profit margin a little bit. Profit margin is the profit you make after all costs are deducted, calculated as a percentage of the selling price. For example, if you sell an item for £10, your net profit is £3 after all product costs and Amazon fees. That indicates you have a net margin of 30%, which is rather average. Because profit margin is computed as a percentage, the lower the item selling price, the bigger the profit margin should be. On a £100 item, a 20% margin equals £20, which is a decent deal. While on a £5 item, it's only £1, which is too little to spend any money on advertising. In reality, you'd need to generate a £2 profit, which is a 40% margin. Number 6. Non-seasonal products. It is recommended that you avoid seasonal products in general. Seasonal items, on the other hand, are things with highly particular and brief sale seasons of only a few weeks or 1 to 2 months at most. Most items have seasonality, which means they sell better at particular times of the year. But that's all right. Products that only sell for 1 to 2 months a year should be avoided. A common example might be a product with a Christmas, Easter, Halloween, or New Year theme. Google Trends is an easy and free tool to use to see if a product is seasonal or not. All you have to do is set the region to the United Kingdom or any other country you plan on selling in, and search for the product. Select the last 5 years as the time frame. This will give you a good idea of how demand for the item fluctuates throughout the year. As you can see, there is a seasonal tendency with this example of kitchen scales, which is natural for many kitchen products. Sales are slower in the summer, then increase up in the autumn and winter. This is absolutely okay. Let's see what the graph looks like with Christmas jumpers. As you can see, demand spikes and increases dramatically between November and December. For the majority of the year, there is no demand for the commodity. This is a common seasonal product that you should avoid. Google Trends is also a wonderful tool to see how a product's overall popularity is changing. If you notice a downward spiral, it's a strong indication that the product is losing popularity. And you might find it difficult to sell in a few years. A developing trend, on the other hand, indicates that the product's popularity is rising and the market is expanding. Finally, if you see a graph like this, you'll know what a classic very trendy item looks like. They immediately gain a lot of popularity. They die off quickly after that, leaving a lot of people with unsaleable stock. Play around with Google Trend and see how interesting some of the data is for yourself. This provides some fascinating information on human behavior in general. Lastly, number 7, work as advertised. If you want to keep returns to a low and maintain a high rating and feedback score, make sure the things you offer operate as described. This is a term used to describe things sold on television that are frequently over-marketed and fail to function as promised in real life. Keep in mind that TV shopping-style products are notorious for under-delivering, and you don't want to establish your firm on false promises. Use common sense at all times. Also, don't just mindlessly obey all of the rules. They're simply guidelines, and they can't cover every scenario. However, one thing is certain. If you're new to Amazon, you should avoid selecting a product from a gated category. Selling on Amazon, as many of you know, can be a long and difficult road. It's simple to get started, but difficult to master. As you learn from your mistakes and discover new strategies to become a better, more efficient Amazon seller, the journey will provide you with great skills. One of the most common misunderstandings among new Amazon sellers is that they can offer any product or brand. The truth is that Amazon places restrictions on a number of categories and brands in order to limit the majority of sellers. Amazon targets new merchants with several limitations. Gated categories refers to Amazon's restricted markets. Gated categories can deter new sellers from joining Amazon, but all you have to do is be aware of which products and brands are prohibited from being sold. Furthermore, just because Amazon has imposed certain restrictions does not mean they will remain in place permanently. Even if you're a new seller, there are a few categories from which you can start ungating. Before putting products for sale, Amazon requires approval for certain products, brands, categories, and subcategories. Document requests, performance checks, and other qualifications may be part of the approval process. So, what are the products in categories that require approval? We've got personal safety and household products, holiday selling requirements in toys and games, jewelry, made in Italy, music, DVD, organic food, organic feed, and organic pet food, beer, wine and spirits, clothing, streaming media players, selling books, music, video and DVD products, and lastly, watches. You won't be selling beer, wine, or spirits, organic goods, groceries, made in Italy products, CDs, or streaming media players on Amazon, thereby not all categories apply. So, once we eliminate all of these categories, we're left with a few jewelry items, which are very unlikely to sell in this category, as are watches and health and personal care. From November to the end of January, the toys and games category also requires approval for sale. At times, this category is open to all sellers. The only issue is that the health and personal care category has a lot of good product opportunities, which you'll find during your product research process. If this is your first product on Amazon, it is best to avoid this category. The reason for this is that while it is possible to obtain approval from Amazon to sell in restricted categories, it will take a long time and there are no guarantees that they will do so. You can read more about how to apply for gated category approval. However, in general, Amazon will request at least 3 invoices from genuine, verifiable suppliers. The tricky part is that, in most cases, they will not approve invoices issued by Chinese suppliers, especially if your account is brand new and has no selling history, as seller performance is an important factor in the approval process. So, basically, you have 3 options or scenarios to choose from. Number 1. When first starting out, it is best to avoid products in gated categories. Number 2. Try to get Amazon to approve you to sell in the category you entail. If you do this, look for companies that provide gating advice and services online. However, you'll frequently have to place orders from local UK or EU suppliers in order to obtain the 3 invoices you'll need to give to Amazon. Yes, this involves purchasing products from wholesalers in order to obtain Amazon's approval. Number 3. Try listing the product and selling in a similar non-gated category. There are some sellers succeed at this, but it's not sure how long it will last because Amazon can and will most likely change the category at some point, which will still require you to get ungated. If you truly want to sell in the gated category, start with something else, get the business up and running, and then aim to get approved in that category over time. Another thing to keep in mind is that you must be registered as a limited company with Amazon in order to sell in the health and personal care category. You must have registered for a VAT number if you're a sole trader. This isn't a practical choice for folks who are just getting started. Now, let's talk about prohibited products. It is your obligation to determine if the things you provide are classified as hazardous materials. Hazardous products sent to Amazon fulfillment centers may be disposed of without compensation, even if they have not been identified as hazardous items by Amazon. There will be a long list of items that are prohibited. Yes, but don't take everything as a negative. It's much better for you to grasp all of the restrictions now, rather than later, when you're doing market research. As a result, you won't waste time on goods that you won't be able to sell on Amazon or through FBA. There is a significant distinction between products that you can't sell on Amazon at all and things that you can sell and fulfill orders directly but can't sell through FBA. If you want to keep things easy, just follow the FBA guidelines, because if you can sell it on FBA, you can sell it and fulfill orders yourself as well, Various liquids, sharp products, and dangerous materials are among the most restricted items. Liquid commodities, for example, must be sold in containers that are no larger than 1 liter in volume and have solid secure enclosures. The maximum dimensions for a product that can be accepted in the FBA program are no more than 300 centimeters in length and no more than 140 kilograms, according to the same list. The list of restrictions is quite long. Simply search for FBA prohibited products on Amazon's help pages. So that's it for our first part of Perfect Product Formula. See you in the next lesson.